So travel is one of those things that, I mean, everybody knows it kind of stinks, right? Like it's not it's not naturally inherently fun. I think everybody has sort of an idea of travel, a romanticized idea that it'll be just as, just like all of those scenes from The Hobbit, it'll be so inspiring, and you see the whole country, and in practice most travel feels a bit like a slog if there's no real interesting bits. It kind of just takes on the role of being in the middle of kind of getting in between whatever interesting stuff there is to do. My approach is to keep travel where it's most interesting, which I think is earliest in the game, and sort of weed it out of the game further the further in we go. So when I say it's interesting early in game, I think that early in a campaign it's a lot easier to play off of sort of the unknown. The decisions that you make about where you're going to travel and how you're going to travel seem to have a lot more impact on the party when they're new. That's when, oh, you decided to cut through the forest and save some time. Well, that's going to lead to. But I think carrying that on over time, it tends to get a little bit tedious. The party is going to travel more and more as the campaign goes on. So, generally speaking, in my games, the first time the party goes somewhere, it's a travel sequence. Subsequent back and forths from that location to other places they've been, we just sort of kind of summarize it and zoom from place to place. That seems to be a good balance. That leaves me room for, even late in a campaign, if they're traveling someplace far away and new, we can play that out. But in each of these cases, I think, you know, ideally there's something unique about the travel that is can be highlighted. I personally, especially later in the game when the challenge to, making travel interesting for a third level party is a lot different than making travel interesting for a 12th level party. So I tend to, and this works at all levels, this isn't just a late game thing, but I think early in a campaign, I'm more likely to use random encounters, or at least encounters that feel more random. When you're a low level party running into a bugbear, or, a flock of, not a flock, a flock of geese, running into a bunch of wolves. Those are those can be tough encounters. Later on, if they're traveling to, let's say, a ruined city on the sea, there are going to be travel encounters, but it's going to be more to do with what the vibe is at that location. What what creatures or what threats from that location are coming out in the same direction that the party's coming from, and what's going to act as sort of an introduction to that location. That's kind of how I think about travel later on in the game. Construct, by the time mid-level play comes around, they've got teleportation or airships, or they've tamed wild mammoth sloths. I like that idea. Wild mammoth sloths. Yeah, everything should get a little bit easier for them. If I had to guess, most games that choose to summarize travel have done so because after the first couple of times where it's novel and new and interesting, the idea of another random encounter, another random encounter, another random I I think people are generally seeking meaningful encounters, and random after random after random can come across, I think, as tedious. But I also think that it's a vibe thing. It's a table dynamic. Some tables are going to want it. I mean, it's kind of like the question of, do you keep track of rations? Do you keep track of encumberment? Do you, or how much stuff you're carrying around? Do you keep track of spell components? Do you count the arrows that you have used? And I think all of those things are vibe, matters of table. Uh, I wouldn't push any of those things on a party for management purposes unless they showed an interest in that style of game being what they want to play. If I have a group that's like, hey, it really matters to us, we want to be able to, we want to have it matter. I only have 7 arrows. I can't shoot 8 times unless I retrieve my arrows. We want to keep track of, rations, and we want to be checking those things off, and we want all of this stuff to matter. If that's the type of like crunchy game that the group wants, I'm game. I've got ideas for all of that stuff. I just don't generally put them into play because the vibe I get from my groups is that, nah, let's skip to the best parts. Let's get to the next cool thing, whatever that's going to be. And I respect that. There's only so much game time in a session. Let's spend it on the most fun aspect, whatever that happens to be. In the GM list bubble, used to flesh out a location. Don't track ingredients or arrows and the like. Yeah, I think if ever, if I think about it, even I'll mention to a group before they're gonna leave. I'm like, hey, everybody mark off like 15 or 20 gold. That way, or later if they're like, oh, hey, I guess I needed more arrows, or like I haven't replenished these in a while, I'll just have them strike some amount of gold from there, and just say that at some point they shopped for it, at some point they picked some up, just because it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, I think I am wrapping up. I think that I've accomplished something. It turns out these are just a lot of stairs to paint.